Hi, my name is Jordan Lay, and I'm doing a literacy narrative for Mrs. Lee's English 101 class. And I am doing Eastern Kentucky dialect. And I'm just here to explain to you guys some of the sayings, what they mean when people talk in Eastern Kentucky dialect, or just with the way they pronounce their words and the pronunciation of certain words. So, I grew up in a small town of southern Illinois, and it was called Ozark, and it had a very small, very small population. I think it was less than 200. And I lived relatively close to my grandparents, and so I saw them every day. And they're from Eastern Kentucky, and in Eastern Kentucky, the dialect spoken there is called Mountain Talk or Eastern Kentucky dialect, whichever you prefer, whichever the politically correct term is. So when they would say something to me in their mountain talk, I would just kind of like look at them, and I still do to this day sometimes when they say some stuff, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about right now. I don't even know where you got that from. So when the pronunciation of some of the words there are different, like the word I as in myself, I as in your eyeball, or my, is more of a short A spoken term, and if you were to write it down, it would be AAH. So an example of using that in a sentence would be to say, I have an eyelash in my eyeball. So you just exaggerate the I sounding and make it into an A sounding. So it's just more of an exaggerated talk like that. And when you're in school or your parents teach this to you or wherever you learn it from, go get that for me it's supposed to rhyme with yet. So you get the saying, you get what you get, so don't be upset. Well, I messed up because I said it in the Kentucky dialect form, but it's supposed to be you get what you get and don't be upset. But in Eastern Kentucky dialect form, it's said as you get what you get and don't throw a fit. So get in the southern part of the region of the United States is more rhymes with it and fit and lit instead of yet or met or upset. So that's just some of the ways they pronounce some words. Also, instead of saying eat, they say ate. Again, that's exaggeration of the letter A when in use of the term E or I. So say you're sitting down to dinner and you forget to say grace, they'll be like, oh wait, we gotta say grace before we ate. So you just say ate. Like instead of saying I ate that for dinner, we'll say, well, let's go ate. Also, Kate is kind of where the word ain't originated from, and Kate is spelled Caint, and by that they mean I can't. So instead of saying, well, I can't go to that tonight, or I can't fit into that, you would say, I can't make it tonight, or I can't fit in this dress. I must get a bigger size. Just instead of can't, you would replace it with a can't. And also, they use sweet as in more of a swate. They put again with the A. So the southern draw kind of is more of an A sounding instead of like all the vowels. There's just one vowel and it's just A. It's pretty much what it sounds like. So you would say, "Oh, what a sweet little girl," or "Oh, that baby is so sweet," or "Sweet pea," and it's you just take out the e's and you put a in there. And also, when you're talking in Eastern Kentucky dialect, you would also say instead of like, it's lack, like LAC, like I like your big truck or I like your new shirt. And that's just again another one of the A things. And when you're talking using words that have that have like the old um, ending on them, you take out the L and just get away with it altogether, and you would just say it's cold in here instead of it's cold. So you'd be like, oh, it's so cold, or can you hold this for me? So instead of hold, it's hold. Instead of cold, it's cold, and you just take the L out of that. And every state has a different way of saying their preferred carbonated drink. Some are like, oh, can I get Coca-Cola? Can I get a Pepsi? Can I get soda? Can I get a pop? Can I get whatever you want to call it? in Eastern Kentucky dialect and southern regions of the United States, you say more of I want like, oh, what would you like to drink with your meal tonight, ma'am? You would say, oh, I would like a Coke, please. And they're like, oh, okay, well, what kind? You'd be like, oh, I'll take a Sprite. So Coke doesn't really mean Coca-Cola as the Coca-Cola can one in the red can and the cursive white writing. It can mean Sprite, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, any whatever your preferred carbonated drink is. And sometimes when you're wanting to you just want to like maybe make fun of someone or just say you're nervous about something, you use sayings such as like, I'm as nervous as a long-tailed cat room full of rocking chairs. And when they say that, they just mean, well, if you're a long-tailed cat, you got this long, pretty, fluffy tail, and you're walking through all these rocking chairs, rocking back and forth, then your tail is more likely to get caught underneath one of those and get rocked back on and make the cat scream. So nobody wants to have that happen. Or another one for when you're nervous is also to say, I'm as nervous as a whore in church. So that just means, well, obviously whores have sins and they go to church and they in the house of God or the Lord or whoever you worship and or believe in, and they're just a little bit nervous and because they're being judged, I guess. And if it's hot somewhere, you can say, I'm sweating like a pig if you're sweating profusely. It's like, oh, I'm sweating like a stuck pig. Or bleeding like a stuck pig means that you're just bleeding everywhere. And hot means, I just totally messed up. Let me re-explain that to you guys. Um, Bleeding like a stuck pig is if you say you're shaving your legs and you cut yourself and then you're just bleeding everywhere. You're like, oh, I'm bleeding like a stuck pig. So there's that. But if it's hot, like I was trying to say before, you would say, oh, I'm sweating like a pig because it's so hot outside. Um, when you're referring to someone who is poor, doesn't have a lot of money, you would say, well, they're poorer than a church mouse, or he's broke as a joke, or you also can refer to yourself as that, like, hey guys, want to go to McDonald's today? You can be like, oh no man, I can't go today, I'm broke as a joke, man, sorry. And so, if it's cold, you can say, well, it's colder than a well digger's butt in here because well diggers go down in the ground, and the further you go down into the ground and to dig a well, the ground gets cold, and obviously they have to. I guess their butt gets cold when they're down there. But there's also one, and it is like was what my great grandpa used to say, or as I used to call him, Papa. Um, he would I would be say I was drinking some red Kool-Aid or some kind of red stuff got into my face, and I'd walk into the kitchen or living room, and he'd look at me and he'd say, "Well, have you been kissing a freshly painted barn?" So I guess it looked like I had went over to a freshly painted red barn and just like rubbed my face all over it and got all this red stuff on it. So he would just say that, and I like that one personally just because it's a little family touch. And also, there is, if you're going to call someone attractive, you can say, oh, well, that boy's finer than Frog's hair, or that girl was fine as Frog's hair. So that's just, frogs have little bitty fine hairs on their backs, I think it is, something like that, fine hair somewhere. And so, super, super fine, so you're just saying, oh, well, they're a really good looking person. But if you want to do the opposite and call someone unattractive, you can say, oh, well, he is ugly as homemade soap. Because if you've ever made homemade soap or you've seen it, it ain't the prettiest. It's like a nasty beige color, and it doesn't even smell good, and it's just nasty, and they're just not attractive. Um, to be ate up with something like, oh, I heard Mr. Smith has got cancer. He's ate up with cancer in his back, or ate up with cancer in his lungs, or something. Or you can use that as the terms of, oh, well, those girls are ate up with selfishness. They're full of something. It's like, oh, well, you're full of crap kind of thing, but it's ate up with. And if someone is to say, oh, well, my back's been acting up, that just means that something's been going wrong with it, or like my knee's acting up, or you can also use it as, oh, well, my kid's been acting up all day, I took them to Walmart, and they're just acting up in the store, not listening. And if you're going to pick on someone just to tease them, that's usually just picking means to tease, like, oh, come on, Dan, I'm just picking with you. Um, Reckon means to agree with someone or to say your opinion, like, oh, well, I'm a reckon we're gonna be late today for the movies, like, or don't you reckon that it's gonna rain tonight? So you're just saying, oh, well, I think it's going to rain tonight, or I believe that we're going to be late tonight because of whatever reason. And also, fixin', if you're getting ready to do something, you'd be like, oh, I'm fixin' to get ready to go out with the girls tonight. Or I'm fixin' to not do my homework, or I'm fixin' to make some food, or just getting ready to do something. And if you're going to get a whooping, that's just another word for a spanking. So you're going to say, oh, well, he got his whooping, or Mr. What's his face gave Bobby a whooping today because he was acting up. So it's just another word for spanking. And lollygagging, that means there's two meanings to that one, and it's either to take your time and poke around, kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna lollygag around, and your mom's like, quit your lollygagging, we gotta go, we're late for the movie, or something like that. Also, lollygagging means for someone who is to be, say someone's having too much fun with something, so you get out of school and then some of the adults, like the older elderly people on your block, and you guys are you're walking around with your friends and stuff, just having a good old time, and the old people are like, oh, well, they're just a lollygagging ever since school got out. So that just means that you're having too much fun. School's out, it's like, oh, so you're just having fun, too much fun for some people, they're a little jealous, I don't know, something. And that is about it. So I hope I helped you guys with a little bit of Eastern Kentucky dialect, or mountain talk, however you guys want to call it. And wish me luck on getting a good grade on this, because I really hope I do. Have a nice day, guys.